Hello, 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 and welcome back to my page. We are just, for this video, sitting down and just doing a little bestie chat, a little yap and listen. And I would love to hear it down below because you guys all know, if you've been following me for long enough or specifically work with me, I could sit and yap and chat all day long with all of you guys because we're best friends here. So one thing that I'm going to go over a little bit is specific things that I do on a daily basis to, one, create habits and routines for a health and wellness journey, but two, things that I feel like I really rely on to pull me out of like funks or to pull me out of like depressive episodes. Is that the right word? Just when I'm like not feeling like myself, or it's winter, it's gloomy, it's like not fun and exciting. We don't feel fantastic all the time, and summer is right around the corner. And so if we start these things right now, one, they can help you when you are in this slump, but two, then by summertime, we're gonna be like feeling our hot girl selves and doing our hot mom walks and doing all the things. So we're gonna jump into it and just chat back and forth. The very first one obviously is just like nutrition, because guys, in nutrition, I can't express to you how big of a difference this makes for me specifically. Now, yes, I'm a nutrition coach. Yes, I've been, tracking my macros for years and years, but I can't even express when I start feeling good, how prevalent it is to me of how crappy I was feeling. So like if I notice that my nutrition's off, or I notice that I'm just not eating the best foods, or maybe I am tracking my macros and I'm hitting those macros, but they're like not good options for me, then I solely can focus in and be like, wow, I felt so crappy when I changed that. If you've been watching my YouTubes for a while now, you guys know, like I've kind of made a transition. I was doing really, really well tracking my macros, but I wasn't choosing like the best options. And now I really prioritize like single ingredient foods. And even just that is like helping my body so much. I'm reducing so much inflammation. I feel like my like cognitive function is so much clearer. And I just feel so much healthier, even though I was previously tracking my macros. So if you guys don't know or aren't aware of macro tracking, we are hitting calories, protein, carbs, and fats. I truly, as a nutrition coach this because I believe this is the most sustainable way for anyone to reach their goals. So it does take a little bit upfront. We do have to take time to like learn and track those foods, but it's ultimately setting us up for an easier future because guys, I've been doing this for about 15 years. You could set a plate in front of me and literally I could tell you probably the exact like amount of protein, carbs, and fats on that plate because I've been tracking my macros so much. So one day when I'm fully done tracking my macros, I can be like, I got this. Like, I'm not worried about it. Like, I can know if I'm in a calorie deficit. I can know if I'm in a maintenance or surplus or anything along those lines. And that's why I love macro counting so much, is because it's the most sustainable. We can have the foods that we love to have, and we can see progress. We can see success. We can see, those differences of like what specific foods are reacting differently in our bodies. So that's simply what I did, is I was tracking my macros inside of our app that we track, and I noticed like, okay, yes, I'm hitting my macros, but why do I just like feel off? And I noticed that a lot of those foods were like processed, boxed, wrapped foods, and they just weren't making me feel super good. So I started making that switch to like single ingredient food options and like really prioritizing larger meals filled with like lots of colors and hitting that protein goal. I always succeed at hitting my protein goal since then, but making that change and that switch to healthier options, we all know what healthier options are, right? Like, come on. Choosing that protein, choosing a vegetable, and then choosing a small carbohydrate or fat source within that, and my meals have been so good. I've had way more energy, guys. So if you are simply like sitting there being like, what's going on within my body, that would be my number one first place to start. Of course, shameless plug, if you need help, I'm here. I got you, girlfriend. Like, reach out, comment down below, and we can dive in that together to make sure that you've got the right macros, that your body is responding well, and that you are making the best choices for your body. So lots of protein, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, And I feel like that's really hard too in the winter time, is because like the vegetables in the fruit section, especially in my grocery store, just aren't appealing. But I swear those single ingredient meals, and that doesn't mean that I'm like so restrictive. Like I still will have a protein bar, I'll still have my supplements, but like you guys have probably seen some of my full days of eatings of like protein, vegetable, like lean beef, green beans, rice, sweet potatoes, like those whole natural foods. And I always tell my clients that I work with, if you could grow it or hunt it yourself, it's always a good option to put in. Number 2 is going to be just some type of movement. Like this is common, you guys probably know. And before you stop me, before you swipe out of this video, I promise I've got some good stuff, but movement every single day, no matter what. And literally I've made this my routine regardless of if I feel it or not. I always tell myself like, act on how I want to feel, not on how I currently feel, because I swear with my second baby, when I originally became pregnant, like all the motivation went down. All of like the willpower to want to do those things were gone. And I kept telling myself, okay, next week I bet it's better. Next week I bet it's better. I bet it's just a phase. I gotta get to second trimester. I gotta get to third trimester. I gotta just have her. And I promise this like motivation will re-spark and all of the things, which did not happen. She is now almost 7 months and I still feel like I'm kind of somewhat in that like workout slump, but I just keep showing up and I just keep getting it done. And I only do 30 minutes every single day. Actually not even every single day, about 5 to 6 times a week. And it makes all the difference in my energy, in my mood, in how I go about the day. I do it right when I wake up to like not talk myself out of missing it, or before the day gets busy, or you know, all of those things that happen. But it's been a total game changer, because I go into that just not feeling it at all, and then after it I feel so good, I feel so energy, I feel strong, I feel powerful, like we are glistening and glittering, not sweating, of course not, but just that. Or if a workout feels too intense for you, just start with a walk or some type of movement every single day right when you wake up. And that's the specific thing, because then you can't talk yourself out of it, and 2, it just becomes part of your routine, part of your habits. Because a lot of the problems that I see a lot of people have with their workouts is that they simply choose like, okay, I'm gonna work out 3 times this week, and then all of a sudden it's Friday and we haven't done any of them. And we're just like, oh, I guess this wasn't my week. So if you make it very, very specific, I'm gonna work out Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays at 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. and you start building that into your routine, you're gonna have so much more consistency. Or like I said, a walk every single morning right when you wake up. So roll out of bed, get ready, and then simply do that physical activity like walking or whatever to just start the day on the right foot. I swear by it, and makes all the difference. So even if you are working out, but it's like later or on your lunch break or anything along those lines, if you can transition that to right when you wake up, it has made such an impact on my life. Number 3, some type of self-development or journaling. So specifically, hold your horses, specifically reading 10 pages of self-development a day. Or I know a lot of people aren't readers, so I say like at least 20 minutes of listening to a self-development podcast in the realm that you want to be better at. And that's really, really specific, right? Like if you weren't into sales and you're reading like a sales book, like how is that gonna affect you, or how is that gonna help make your life better? But choose someone or somewhere that you want to go in that direction, and specifically learn from the people who are already doing it in your field. If you want to be like the best makeup artist ever, why are you not listening or watching some of those amazing makeup artists that are like on, I don't know, Runway or something, every single day? So choose something that you want to be better in and start listening or reading more about them. Or specifically journaling, which I know a lot of people are like, ugh, woo-woo-y, but and I was that way. I'm very much that way, actually, still to this day. But 3 things that you're grateful for right when you wake up, and 3 things that you're proud of right before you go to bed. And this has changed my life. When we put energy into the things that we want to focus on, more good comes. So 3 things that you're grateful for. And some days it feels really hard for me. Some days it's simply like, oh my gosh, I am grateful and thankful that the sun is shining. And that's as deep as it goes. I am grateful and thankful that I have clean, healthy water to drink. And some days it's very, very deep and it takes up an entire page of my journal. And then 3 things that you're proud of for the day. I feel like if you are anything like me and the anxiety sinks in, or like the depression, or you start overthinking a lot right before you go to bed, just simply say 3 things that you're proud of that you got done that specific day that's moving you in the right direction to where you want to be. Because I have sat there so many times and I've done this giant to-do list, and then I go to bed mad at myself, disappointed, not feeling good. I didn't do X, Y, Z when I should have been focusing on I did X, Y, Z, which are so good. So start making that mindset switch. 4 is a nighttime and morning routine. Why did I say nighttime first? Because, and I prioritize this so much and I talk so much about this, is that if we want a good morning routine, we have to have a good nighttime routine. Our morning routine, which so many people focus on, everyone comes to me as a nutrition coach saying, oh, I'm gonna get up earlier. I wanna start doing this. I wanna do it before work, X, Y, Z. However, their nighttime routine is all over the place. And it makes it way more challenging to have a good morning routine when you don't have a nighttime routine. So setting out your gym clothes, setting out those workout clothes before you go to bed, having the same nighttime routine. Like, why is no one prepping for the next 8 hours? Like, we get ready for the day, we get ready to go to school, we get ready to, take the kids to soccer and football and all of these things, but we are not simply preparing ourselves properly to spend the next 8 hours in a sleeping position, which we definitely need to. So specifically for me, I set out my workout clothes for the next day. I do my skincare. I'm drinking my magnesium. I'm taking a hot shower. I take time, and we're gonna go over one of these options, but I read and I just take time for me and my family, and no blue light, caffeine cut off, making sure that that is properly 8 hours before we go to bed, and then ultimately going to bed at the exact same time. Like, lights are out at 9:30 for me because I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. So if you want a better morning routine, start with your nighttime routine. If you're not taking magnesium, I highly recommend it because it's been a total game changer for me. But I swear focusing on your nighttime routine will help and transition into a better morning routine, which will then lead to a better day. So if you had a crappy day today, ask yourself, well, what did last night look like to prepare me for today? Number 5 is friendships, or just relationship building, or taking time to actually talk and slow down with your significant other, with friends, family members, anything along those lines. My brother always cracks up at me because I work my butt off to call my mom and my dad every single day to check in on them, see how they're doing. It may be like a 3-minute conversation. It may be a 30-minute conversation. I always work to talk or reach out to one friend that I'm thinking of at that time. It's so funny that a lot of us sit there and be like, oh, I wonder how so-and-so's doing, and then we just go about our day. Or, you see their picture on Instagram or something along those lines, and you just kind of like it and scroll on. I'm working so hard to actually take time and be like, no, you know what? I'm going to call that person because I'm physically thinking of them, and say, hey, I was just thinking of you, wanted to check in, wanted to see how you're doing. And it has made a whirlwind in my life lately and brought so much joy and happiness and lightheartedness to my life, because before that it was just grind, work, get done the things that I needed to get done, and I was missing so many opportunities with those I love. Number 6 is taking high quality supplementations. Now, this is not mandatory by any means. However, I will say that in my life they are non-essential essential. So they help me feel better ultimately. And there are gaps within our nutrition, there are gaps within our lifestyles that they can help make a difference. For instance, if you don't take magnesium or vitamin liposomal vitamin D, both of these can act as hormones. And if we are low in vitamin D or magnesium within our system, there's tons of side effects to that, like feeling depressed, lack of sleep, worse PMS symptoms. You know, the list could go on. And those are two specific ones that I'm just kind of like throwing out there. But specifically, I take an all-encompassing micronutrient packet, fish oil capsules, greens, reds, magnesium, protein powders, which that just helps me with my workouts and things like that. But I would say those are probably the biggest ones that make a true impact. Vitamin D in my life right now, specifically within winter time as well. Like I said, those vitamin Ds and magnesium specifically, as well as the all-encompassing micronutrient packet, vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, CoQ10s, things like that, can act like a hormone inside your body. Lack of energy, lack of sleep, like poor metabolism if we're missing those types of things. So check your nutrition, check what supplementation you are taking, and fill those gaps. And then another one, just taking time for you on a daily basis. So specifically mine would be reading. I call them my end caps. So I start off with reading 10 pages of self-development in the morning. And that's like, right now I'm reading Let Them by Mel Robbins, which I'm really, really enjoying. However, in the evening, I read like fun books, like, I don't know, romance, mystery, that type of stuff. And so I'm going to take time. I read 8 books this month to do a little monthly recap because I know you guys are loving these ones. So number 1 book was, and I have them right here, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And I actually listened to this one on the audiobook, and I highly recommend listening to it versus reading it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars and I loved it. I felt like it was a little bit longer than it needed to be, and that's why I like Doctor Point. But if you are into mysteries, if you are into like whodunits, ultimately this girl is doing like her capstone project, and she tries to figure out what happened 5 years ago to this murder mystery, ends up solving it and like being the hero within her school. But I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so good and just something really, really easy to listen to. Second book was Magnolia Parks. The first book, I know this is like the universe, and I haven't read the other books within the universe, but the first book I gave 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. Thought it was light reading. It's ultimately like, I thought it was funny because they're like super, super rich within this book. So it was kind of funny to like not have it be relatable. Like they had drivers, they went to took limos. They were buying like really expensive clothing and going to like country clubs and things like that. And I just thought it was like cool to be in that kind of like world, because that's obviously not me. And their love story back and forth was just so messed up, just so messed up. So if you're into books kind of like that, where you're like, why are you two not together? Then you guys need to read Magnolia Parks. Number 3, The Wedding People, 3 out of 5 stars. This book is hyped up on TikTok and Instagram, and I literally thought it was so boring, so terrible. Thought I would DNF it so many times. And ultimately, just like I was talking about how I've been in this funk and depression, and it's like cold and gloomy and all the things. Well, that's how the book starts. And she like ultimately wants to kill herself and ends up meeting, I mean, it was lighthearted, but the entire book I kept thinking, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? And nothing really happened. It was like one of those books where a lot is happening, a lot of conversations are happening, but not a lot of things are happening. So I don't know, if you've read that book, maybe I missed something. Let me know down below. The last one, At the Wedding by Jason Rukalek. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. 3 out of 5 stars. I feel like I give a lot of books that are just like meh, 3 out of 5 stars, unless I DNF them. You ultimately get 1 star because you're a book, like putting your name on a test, and then from there it's like, okay, you get another star, like if I finished you, and then from there it just goes up. But I thought this one was so boring as well. Literally, I just could not wait to get it done. By the time I figured this out, I was already like 70% in, and I was like, I just gotta get it done to put it on my list. I'm too far in to give it up, but honestly would not recommend this book at all. Next book is Say You Swear by Megan Brady. I loved this book. I love it. 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 Football romance. Literally so good. My jaw hit the floor. The gasp I gasped reading this book. If you have not read this book, you guys need to. Football romance, absolutely loved it. They were perfect together. There was a love triangle at once. And I just take my word for it. If you are waiting for a book, this is it. This is it. The next book, Promise Me Not, is the second book in the universe. So you don't have to you don't technically have to read them in order. They're like different stories for the characters that you meet within that. And that's what I mean by universe. Is by Megan Brady as well. 5 out of 5 stars. I just loved these. I can't wait for more of her books to come out on these characters. But ultimately another character within the series falls in love with another one, and it's their story and how they met and how they got together and all of the things, and the timelines kind of overlap. So it's nice how she referenced back to Say You Swear, and you kind of get excuse me, I have a frog in my throat, kind of get those. The next one is Learning Curve by Max Monroe. And the next one after that is Playing Games, Max Monroe. So just kind of like the two books that I previously talked about, they're in the same universe, same friend group. And ultimately this is, I love these books. I can't wait for more of these ones. I gave both of them 5 out of 5 stars. So I've had a lot of good books this month. So that's ultimately where I read. If you guys are not on Fable, that's generally where I put a majority of my stuff, or like my book updates. But if you are feeling like you are in a funk, or like need help, need assistance, it's all up to you. But the biggest thing that I always like to talk about is just start small, focus on one habit at a time, focus on making it a habit, focus on getting just 1% better. A lot of us go into these situations of saying, okay, I don't work out at all, but now I'm going to work out 7 days a week. Or, oh, I don't eat healthy at all, but I'm gonna throw out my entire fridge and my entire pantry and start from scratch, which is ultimately not the best way to do it. It's just done is better than like not doing anything at all. So for instance, if you're focusing on water and you simply drink, 1 cup a day, try adding 2 cups a day, then 3, and then getting all the way up to those 100 ounces. If you don't have, if you have like 50 or 60 grams of protein, don't go to 150 grams, but focus on, hey, I'm gonna start at 70 or 80 or 90, adding in 1 extra meal that's high in protein, or adding in an extra snack that's high in protein, and start making those baby steps up from there. And if you guys have questions, always reach out. I'm here to support you and encourage you and help in any way. And thanks for being here.